from either your system or your campus or your school level, that it takes all of those perspectives to be able to do right by the citizens that we are all in this room because we're committed to serving. And I want to say to our students, we are really, really fortunate at LOSFA that our advisory board is comprised of practitioners. This is not somebody, well, I do something else during the day and I'll just serve on this board because it's a really nice title to have. And I don't really know what you just said, but I'm voting on. Right? The benefit here is that these are people who are doing the work at the campus level. And so they actually got real experience, and that advice is golden to us, it informs us, just as you inform us. And those of us that get to sit at this table, take the feedback from all of you into account when we make it. And if we don't get it right, and you give us input that we didn't get it right, then we go back and say, if it's not in the law, then we can tweak that. And if it's in the law, then we let the legislature know, hey, they're right. So, and then it is up to them as to whether they want to make the decision to say, well, we need to do it. And that is really how the process works. So again, valuable input here, valuable input here, and Chair Coleman, I will sit down and turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome to all of you, and we'll begin the meeting with the roll call.
Andrew, are we live?
Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Cable, present. Carlino, present. Mr. Castile, Ms. Coleman, here. Ms. Gaines, here. Ms. Hoover, present. Ms. Lawson, here. Mr. Myers,
Here.
Mr. Payne, Ms. Thibodeau, here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Next, we'll get to Melissa. Would you like us to introduce the board members? There are only two. There are three of us sitting who have been on this board before. So thank you all, the rest of you, for being willing to be on this board. As Dr. Rudy said, it's a working board. What I'm going to ask each of you to do is to take a few minutes just to introduce yourselves to the rest of us and to the staff. So, I'm Mary Ann Coleman. I am chair, and I don't remember how many years I've been chair. I live in Baton Rouge, which is, and I also, before I was the chair, I'm on this board. I represent the Louisiana Association of Independent Colleges and Universities. Those who attend private, regionally accredited private colleges in the state of Louisiana. And I worked for them and retired as their president and CEO for them 33 years. So I represented them and worked with all the people on the campuses. I represented them with the legislature. I represented them with the board of regents. We have a representative sit on this commission. That's not myself initially, but then that all changed. So I have 33 years of experience, and because I live in that region, my board is made up of the LEICU board is made up of college presidents. I assure you, you know, it's far easier for someone else to be on this board than a college president. So that's what I do. That's why I'm here. Over the years, I have seen awesome change, and I'm always delighted and amazed how much the focus is totally on what can we do for students. Not what can we do for the legislature, but what can we do for the students? Not what can we do for the region, the colleges, what can we do for the right for these students? And I know better than I that without students, without education, Louisiana is just not going to get where everybody wants their education. So that's my, and I'm gonna, we just go around this way. Hey,
My name is Amy Claiborne, the Chief Student Affairs Officer at the Louisiana Community and Technical College System. I oversee a division of this system-wide processing financial aid for 7 of our 12 community colleges. I have about 2 years of financial aid experience and 4 years. So I feel like I've been around here a long time.
I think Carly, no, I am a counselor at the Academy of Baton Rouge. I've been a counselor for 13 years working with the students, so I'm really excited to see the background of what all goes into working with our students on a daily basis.
yeah, why don't you start?
I'm Mabel Kane. I live in New Orleans. I'm a member of the Southern University, supervisor. This is my first year on the board. I'm excited to be a member of the LOSFA board. I spent some time on your website and totally impressed with all that you do. And I'm looking forward to learning more. Higher education is so important. Pathway to success. And what we do is so important in getting our students there. So, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Catherine Hoover. I'm the Director of Financial Services at USAC Training Academy. I've been in financial aid for the last 5 years, and I've actually been to a few of the advisory board meetings, but I'm super excited to actually be a part of the board now to learn as much as I can and also have my input and insight as well.
My name is Christy Lawson. I am the Louisiana School Counselor Association representative for our public and charter schools. I'm a high school counselor in a rural school in Tangier Parish. This is several terms for me on the board. I have absolutely enjoyed the whole process and learning and just having the feedback. I'm glad to see all of y'all to put faces with all the work that's done. I appreciate what y'all do every day on behalf of our students. I told a couple of them I'd be out today. Why are you missing? I was like, well, I'm going to this. Oh yeah, please go. And bring back any information that you have. So I've enjoyed this process. I'm glad to meet y'all and I'm welcoming y'all.
Morning, everybody. My name is Brad Myers. I represent the Louisiana Association of Student Financial Administrators. I know many of you across the room. I love seeing your faces. Work with you professionally as well as with the association, a lot of conferences, a lot of good times. I've been to an advisory board meeting before contributing as the LASSA president, but I've also followed along a lot of policy issues over the previous years, very much ingrained in policy. And so serving on this board, I'm definitely looking forward to more of that and how we can more effectively leverage policy to benefit our students and efficiently and effectively do so with these existing and new aid programs.
Good morning, I'm Amy Thibodeau. I'm representing Louisiana State University. I am new to the board, very excited to be here this morning. I'm not new to LSU. I've been with LSU for about 20 years, but I am I've been in the financial aid and scholarships unit for about 12 of those years. So I've been partnering with a lot of people in this room for years and really looking forward to continuing our partnership and also learning what you all have to share with us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we'll move on to recognition.
Mark, how are you? No, it's not working for us right now. We don't have the children working for us. We have. So we are all in on branchers.
Very bad.
service to our country, protecting us and the way of life that we sometimes take for granted, that we can see thankfully right now that not everyone has. And we thank them also for their service for law. Thank you.
And then we have some new employees, even though a lot of people might be new to you. The newest employees are recognizing, you all want to recognize by the district, want to go and have them stand. Is Tiana here?
She is in class.
She's in class, all right, so,
Or she's your.
Yes. Right, she's, no, Diane is a student intern, she attends LSU, she's majored in kinesiology. She came to us from the Housing Finance Corporation, and she's been doing a wonderful job working with the MBA Boston program.
Joy.
I am. One of the business members of CAP, she joins us as an NPN assistant officer, so we are in the process of training, of course, our IAOs and front lines of communication for the agency. She has a degree in social science, a master's from the Southern University, and before joining LOSFA.
LaRonda, or Ira, or Paul?
Okay, there's one.
Okay, Laurent, stand up.
Yeah, you go, yeah, come on,
She is the eligibility renewal section, and she comes to us from various places in financial aid, 16 years experience. And she's working on the top side of grades and renewal more grades and process.
Okay, I'm gonna just stay standing. This is Danielle. Danielle is also one of the newest members of CAP, also an intake and assistance officer. And she received her bachelor's degree in political science from Louisiana State University. And before joining LOSFA, she was with Cox Automotive. Also with CAP. This is Haley. Haley is our outreach coordinator for our counselors and our parents. And she also joins us, well, she comes from LSU, where she was previously the TOPS and scholarship counselor, and she had the bachelor's degree in science from LSU.
Welcome back, Joyce. Came back to help us in the start division with a amount of paperwork that was passed. Please welcome Joyce back.
And she is a dedicated assistance officer, and she comes to us from River Parishes Community College, and she has a bachelor's degree in project management.
Next we have approval of the. Next we have approval of the minutes from the November 7th, 2023 meeting. I hope you all have a chance to read them. And if so, then I would like to make a motion for the minutes to be approved. I'll make a motion. Thank you. Moved by Christie. Second, please. Second. The second.
I'm sorry, Ms. Coleman, I had a moment, and I totally missed the first and second. Can we repeat? I was first.
Christie. And
Thank you.
Dr. Cable seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Right, so the minutes have been approved as presented. Okay, you skipped over one item, so we can do the minutes, which is, as we're scrolling through, the election of the chair and the vice chair. left it as an agenda item or discussion item. There will be no election today because there will be three of us who are old board members, so, what I would like to make sure that we understand, we need a chair and a vice chair. I've been the chair, I live here, that's probably my best qualification. And I'm retired, so that's the other, because some of you may be aware, even when we go to the virtual meetings, which is when, New Year?
Yes, ma'am.
The presiding officer must still be present here in this location. The rest of you will be able to join in from wherever you are, should you choose to do that. You will count as the quorum, you will be able to vote. But either the chair, the vice chair, if the chair is not able to be here, must be present in this location. Without that happening, there can be no meeting. That is correct. So, what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have any questions or comments, we all get to know each other. Perhaps we hold the election in January. If there's any other ideas, you will all have my email. Rhonda can do that. Let me know if you might be interested in these, but I do recognize that you all have other jobs, things to do. And so I'll be looking forward to hearing from you, but does anybody have any comments now about the election? I just didn't realize there were only 3 people on the board that will return. I don't know, I've never experienced that, but there's a lot of turnover. Jim Henderson is leaving to become the president of Tech, so that makes more changes. Of course, Preston Castillo is an elected board member, his obligation is always to be where the best is, whatever. So any comments, questions?
When will we know when the schedule of meetings will be? Because I think that's been the challenge for me in particular. I know, like,
That's the first
Thursday, Tuesdays, and
We are, I mean, they're in the packet, I'll be doing your meetings from January to June of 2024 today. But we are moving from Thursdays to mainly Wednesdays. Just know that, but we can't decide which meetings will be virtual until after the final roll goes final in January. And so at that time, I'll let you know which one's virtual, but even if we're holding virtual meetings, unless there's a public emergency or.
Yes.
Public emergency, only so many of the meetings can be virtual. Okay. I think it's like, what is it, a third, yeah. But most likely, I mean, January definitely will be held in person. And we don't have a February meeting scheduled, so I'll let you know in February if the March meeting is going to be virtual.
And as you heard this morning, in the event that we don't have enough board members present, chairman, then you go to executive session and you can still conduct business.
Executive committee.
Executive committee, thank you. And the business can still be conducted. One of the things is, as you go through and we'll get to that later, Rob can explain more. One of the things that, well, let me go back. One of the things that I feel that this commission board is so valuable is because we have the people who are experienced, who know what's going on, that can work with the staff, the ebb and flow, this isn't working, or I need help with this. That's one of the things that Christy brings to this commission. That's valuable. That's one of the things that I think, Bradley, you said that you had mentioned. That's one of the cornerstones for this commission. The next thing is at the very end, where we have to approve the exceptions to policies. And then those exceptions, if we approve them, then go to the Board of Regents for final approval. So that's the real that's the reason why we must continue to figure out a way to satisfy the law, to make sure that people can be here in person, that we don't exceed the number of virtual things. But I think I don't remember. The definition of a virtual meeting would be is what?
It's a hybrid. It's not a truly virtual meeting, since at least the chair or the vice chair must be at a physical location, which is what they call an anchor in the law. So it's still a hybrid, and only certain boards and commissions are allowed to have these type of meetings. Because everything that we act on has to be finally approved by the regions, and we're considered advisory, we are allowed to have these partially virtual meetings. But everybody that attends virtually is allowed to be counted as a quorum. So you can do that for the limited number that we are allowed to have in a year. As Rhonda stated earlier, we will be bringing the approval of final rule next month to y'all, and it will go to the Board of Regents in January. I think we were one of the first to publish those rules. At this point, I have not received anything requesting a hearing by either the legislature or an individual. So that is a good thing, given that this is a brand new law. So I haven't seen any others published yet. So I don't know if others have published, but I will be looking for that before our next meeting, just so y'all have an idea of what's going on.
You just one member, for instance, Bradley can't make it. Is that then a virtual meeting, or he just joins and can't vote?
If it's scheduled as a virtual meeting, it is considered a virtual meeting. If it's not scheduled as a virtual meeting, a board member can attend, but you are not allowed to participate. That means you can't provide input and you cannot be counted towards a.
Like it is right now.
Yes, like it is right now.
Okay. Can you send a reference or just send a link to the law or the reference to the?
I can do that.
Structure, one thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, so I will be in contact with you, or please feel free to be in contact with me if anybody we need a chair and a vice chair. I'm willing to serve as chair for a short while through a transition period, but I will be that board's should the whole entire people. I could fall down next week on the pickleball court and get injured. And
Prefer that not to say.
yeah, me too. But anyway, thank you all. I want to make sure that I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any other suggestions, please feel free to send. Next we move to public comment. Do we have any other direct public comment? No. Thank you. Program updates.
Right. This time we are doing program updates for our new board members. Generally what you received in your packet. Generally in program updates, we will have each division director come and give an overview of that. What we're trying to intersperse into these meetings is more of what you're going to see today. Instead of just hearing from us as directors, we want you to be able to hear from the individuals who are doing the work. And because when you hear from them, this is going to be more project-based, more collaborative. What we're trying to show you is we've told you about LOSFA 2.0. But it's one thing to talk about a concept. It's another thing entirely to make a concept happen. So we want you to be able, this is our LOSFA 2.0 in action, such that you can see those tiers of services. And for those of you that are new, just a real brief recap. When we transitioned from our Gear Up grant to not having a Gear Up grant, right? The majority of our outreach budget came from federal dollars, and it was for certain school districts, certain schools within those districts, certain grades, 1 or 2 at a time, within that. But then over time, over the past 10 years, LOSFA, as we know it, has grown significantly from the people that do talks and the people that you start, to all of these people in here who now do a multitude of programs. And Shauna is 175% increase in the programs that we're asked to offer. And almost every legislative session, because these folks do such a good job, we get another program. And with those programs, it is a 500% increase in the audiences served. Because if you're just doing jobs, that is mainly, you're talking about middle school to high school. You're not talking about adults. You're not talking about people that are incarcerated. You're not talking about people necessarily that are homeless or that have special considerations or that are trying to return to school. This is the all y'all LOSFA. And so what we did was to say, what are the three major buckets of purposes that were most valuable that we learned from the grant? And that individuals, the students, because we have to keep in mind, what did they say made the most difference and what did the research say? And it was three buckets: comprehensive mentoring and advising. I want you to give me multiple paths to post-secondary education. Don't force one down my throat and tell me that's what I need to do. And don't just tell me what I need to do. I need you to connect that to jobs and what they pay, or I am not hearing it. I am turning down free money because I do not understand where I'm gonna go. And then the third thing was what I like to call the what had happened was wraparound services, which means all of you that are practitioners know there's students that come to your office and financial aid is not their only problem. It could be food insecurity, it could be child care, it could be our new favorite one, because it was like, wow, the tree fell on the person's house. They didn't have a place to live. They were sleeping outside of the campus, and that case came to LOSFA. That doesn't have anything to do with jobs, or Go Grant, or MJ Foster. That has to do with I am needing a roof, and I need wraparound holistic services. So we concentrated our services into those three buckets. So when you hear about LOSFA 2.0, you're hearing about how we're going to deliver services in those three buckets. And then we said, okay, we're going to have to triage this. So we have to redesign the way we deliver services. We're bringing it all back in-house. This is the house. Which means, why? I don't want to hear about, well, if you're in Christy Lawson's school, or if you're in Lindsay Carlino's school, those are great. You're not. And if you're somewhere where somebody's workload is not allowing them to serve you, well, that fights for you. We cannot have that with all y'all. So we said to have consistency of services. These folks work for LOSFA. We are one team. And we are all dedicated to serving students. And what does equity mean for us? Any student, anywhere, any age, any location, and any issue that pertains to them accessing and succeeding in higher education, whatever that pathway may be. So this is how we ensure consistency, investing in these folks who invest in us. And we said, well, how do we get the word out about services? Well, the IAOs that you heard about, intake and assessment officers, think if you go to the emergency room, you don't go straight back to the doctor. Somebody triages you and says, now, how bad is this? Is this just a routine I can answer that quickly, then I got you. Is this that's gonna take a little research, right? Then that goes to that next tier of services, which are our outreach coordinators. And that's something that might want to be looked up a little bit, but it isn't the tree fell on the house yet. And those folks also are responsible for building partnerships with post-secondary institutions, community organizations, employers, because we can't serve people by ourselves. They will never give us that much money or that many resources. We don't live in this world by ourselves. And then for the, what had happened was after that is your comprehensive advising officers who are tree fell on the house, that's those folks. Now, mind you that all three in those tiers Intake and assessment officers are homebound. But outreach coordinators, comprehensive advising officers, in their spare time, which is not all that.
Also do your outreach and the events that you want scheduled.
And then, that's not all LOSFA does. See these folks over here at SG, like you really do. The people that have to operate the programs. Somebody still got to run the program. And then the people in fiscal, wave your hand in the air. Those are the people that process the bills and make sure that you get your money at the campus level. Then the people in audit, wave your hands. Those are the people that you're not doing right. We're not out there just to get you. We've added technical assistance that's here for that to go. If you're not doing right, we're gonna assume, because we're all friends, right? That you're not doing that on purpose. So we're gonna send somebody out to help you do better, or if it's a turnover issue, they're not there to get you. We're not interested in creating a headline. We're interested in serving students effectively. So we've got that, and then of course we put from CASD and student engagement. That is where our intake and assessment officers, those 3 tiers of services. So we run the programs, then we've got legal that helps us all stay off the front page of the paper. That has to do with the rules and interpret policies and work with legislators when they say, well, what if I want to do this? And then we've got research, wave your hands. Connor's not here with that. Connor, if you just want to all right, that gets those numbers in together. And then we've got IT, wave your hands, and Claudia. So without those folks, and then we've got our purchases that is a part of this one. Go on it. And then it's that one. And then we've got our start person. That really from Susan up, wave your hands, and bunch of y'all too. Those are the people that say we can actually, all y'all needs from birth all the way to whatever you stop accessing education. So it takes every one of those entities. So LOSFA is very unique in the college access world, and that we truly do have the job of doing it all. Telling people about it, promoting, that's why we say promote, prepare for, and provide college access. So I'm going to turn it over to the people that do work. They will be showcasing projects that they are doing, and we plan to incorporate this regularly. We're trying to look at the frequency into our meetings such that you really do get a flavor for what's really happening, going on, what makes those numbers work. All right, get away. He said, I'm not to move. Sean said, don't move.
There'll be a lot of cast changes up here on stage as we move from slide to slide. Luckily, don't trip on the wires.
That way.
Yeah, that way.
Yes, we do have to project ourselves.
Project on what I do, what I do. I'll try my part. Yeah, but you know, okay. So for our new board members, we wanted to give an overview of what each of the divisions did at LOSFA. As we talk about the collaboration, that we're being very intentional about being cross-collaborative here at LOSFA. So first, Ebony and I co-direct the Division of College Access, Success, and Communications, also known as CASC. Our advising, our programmatic knowledge, our communications, our customer service, our program promotions, our outreach, our events, all of that comes through our division. And we want to talk about the specifics of what we do in CASC.
Sure. So I am the Director of Public Information and Advising. And so along with Shane, again, we're the only co-directed division at LOSFA. But a little bit about what falls under my wheelhouse is, of course, the advising pieces with programmatic knowledge, taking care of the reports that we have to generate. So CASC has a lot of moving pieces, doing outreach, training for that, taking care of information along timely for our FAFSA, like leading the efforts for that in the state. And that's just a few of the things.
I'm the Director of Collegiate and Community Outreach. I see a few of you in person, and I work with via email. But I work with our post-secondary and our community partners, as well as the communications and promotions for LOSFA's programs. Student engagement.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to ask my phenomenal team of student engagement personnel to please stand. As you heard Dr. Bute share in her opening, there are so many grounds to cover, and in student engagement, we are that wraparound. We are the connecting students to the peers, connecting students to the professionals, connecting students to the providers of the resources they need to address whatever that wraparound issue, when I'm after was thing, okay? So I am so privileged to work with these phenomenal professionals. We do, again, our comprehensive advising officers that are there, waivers. We have student engagement specialists, and we have employer engagement coordinators. That's something that came into that green bucket of the 2.0 that we're talking about. And we have another CEO in the back there, and I'll make sure we can include it back there. All right, and so again, we came about as, and Jenny, thank you for entering, our employee coordinator, and does everything on board there. So grateful to have you here. So with the addition of the student engagement division in 2021, we had our student network groups. Now we're doing so much more than that. Our student network groups, we are guiding students to and through in various disciplines, meeting in that virtual space, in something birthed out of COVID, and we're persisting. But now we are even more so extending into that more of an active road of outreaching hybrid. We are just so excited about the brainstorms that are coming about. We've been waiting to hear about the work that we're doing in tying all of this together through technology. Thank you.
Before we get started, I am so sorry. Can Cass please stand? Everybody in Cass. And you are also looking at the first winners of the LOSFA Battle of the Pelican as well. These are our outreach coordinators, these are our intake and assistance officers, our communications coordinator, our public relations specialists, and these are some of the people along with student engagement that are out on the ground every day, just kind of grinding for LOSFA to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students. We are, Madison taking photographs, our graphic designers are designing publications. We're serving as front lines of communications. We're helping those students that have complex issues. And so more than likely, if you have ever reached out to CustServe or called us, one of these individuals you spoke with. Thank y'all.
Okay. I won't use the mic, but I do have a card. Good morning, I'm Deborah Paul, the Scholarship and Grant Director, and welcome to the new board members. So I've met before or just have a connection to. So Amy, we email up to other times, so it's nice to meet you. And a former board member, advisory board member, Ms. Ann, sent me a message on Facebook and said, Ms. Gaines will be joining, make sure you meet her. So Brad, we do a lot of work together on the LOSFA board and just back and forth. And Ms. Cooper, we met at a conference, we present on some things, and then Ms. Carlina, my daughter's graduate of SJA, very education. So welcome to the board members. But before I start, I'd like the scholarship and grant division employees to stand. We have 11 full-time employees and 1 student worker. 1 person is missing, Brittany Terrio, because she's at a conference today in Lake Charles presenting on adult education. So I'd just like to thank them for all of the work that they do to keep our program running. Thank you. We have 16 scholarship and grant programs. We heard Dr. Bute say earlier that we've had triple-fold increases in programs, and that's what we do. We process these programs. We have 5 programs that are under the TOPS umbrella. Our programs benefit students throughout the state at the certificate, associate, and bachelor's degree levels, 2- and 4-year public-private, as well as proprietary and cosmetology schools. We also have 2 out-of-state schools. So students who are hearing impaired that qualify for TOPS can attend Gallaudet in Washington, D.C., or New York, Rochester Institute of Technology in New York, and use their TOPS award out of state if they so choose to do so. We provide payments to post-secondary schools on a student's behalf. Some of our programs are centralized, like TOPS, where students apply and we make the awards of who's gonna get TOPS. Others, like our gold rank program, is decentralized, which means we provide an allocation to the colleges and they award the students based on the criteria for that particular program. As I said, 5 programs fall under the TOPS umbrella. We start with the 11th graders with the TOPS Tech Early Start program. For those students who want to pursue technical education, you know, that's the new buzzword, technical programs are out there. So students can start in 11th grade, say they want to be an automotive mechanic. They can start taking those courses in 11th grade, and by the time they graduate 12th grade, they may have a year or less left at a community college to get their certificate in HVAC, some of the other programs that are out there. We also have the TOPS Tech program, which is for students who pursue technical education, and it's a 2-year award. Then we move on to the Opportunity Award, which is for students who are in an academic program at a 2 or 4-year school. We have the Top Performance Award for those students who have higher GPAs and higher ACT scores, and they get a stipend, $200 a year for that award. And then the highest TOPS award is the Honors Award, where students get an additional $100 a semester for those particular programs. Our Gold Grant program is need-based for students who receive the Pell Grant. Just looking at the growth of the program in the year of the pandemic, 2021, our funding was $29.4 million. But this current year, the increase, we are at $70.4 million. That's a $41 million increase that are benefiting our students at the public 2 and 4 year and the private Lakewood schools, which Ms. Marianne affiliated with. So that's been a phenomenal increase, and then every year, Dr. Boutte has been successful in asking for additional funds so that all students who receive a Pell Grant will have the opportunity to receive a Gold Grant also, which helps with what? Less loan debt in the end. Then we have the Rockefeller State Wildlife Scholarship, and that's for students who major in wildlife, forest, and marine sciences. There are 8 public schools in the state that have Rockefeller programs. And I was explaining to Ms. Gaines, the urban forestry program is at Southern University. So we always seek help from the board members to make sure that those students on the campus know about that program. LSU, Louisiana Tech, Southeastern, McNeese, those are some of Northwestern have programs in those areas. And then we have another program called John R. Justice Student Loan Repayment Program. That's where attorneys who are working as prosecutors and public defenders, public service, we pay back a portion of their student loan indebtedness. And this year, we are awarding 15 attorneys $84,000, which really helps because we know how much school costs when you get to the graduate level. There are very few scholarships and opportunities, so they rely on student loans. So that helps them to stay in public service and get a significant portion of their student loan debt repaid to them. We have the Go Youth Challenge program, which is for students who have attended the National Guard, YCP, for students aged 15 to 18 who may have had some rough patches along the way, and they go and get straight in this military style program at 3 sites across the state. Once they finish Go Youth Challenge, some go and graduate from there, some of them take just course recovery and come back to their high school. Well, then once they enroll in post-secondary education, we award them a grant to help with their educational expenses. We do a lot of collaboration, and you're gonna hear that word over and over this morning. But we collaborate with the Department of Education on the BESI tuition program for teachers. So teachers who want to take additional coursework to help them in the classroom to be more effective, we provide grants for those teachers at public colleges throughout the state. We have a big collaboration, even bigger, with the Department of Children and Family Services. One is the Chafee Education and Training Voucher. Students who have aged out of the foster care system, the most vulnerable students that we deal with, we provide a grant up to $5,000 a year to help them in post-secondary. So we work with DCFS on those students, and then we also work with them on the STEP TANF. STEP TANF is strategies to empower students, and TANF is for those who are on public assistance. We're working with them to provide grants for those students who need help once the Pell Grant money runs out. Now we're looking at adding adding books and stipend for educational expenses for those TANF students. And then those who are in the system for TANF who do not have a high school diploma, we pay for the high set. where they can go to a program and brush up on their skills and then take the HiSET to earn their general equivalency diploma. And then we have 3 new programs. The Patriot Scholarship, which was just enacted this year through this last session. And we know that students who are in the National Guard in Louisiana, one of the best programs around the country, and it pays their tuition. But it doesn't stop at tuition. There are mandatory fees that were not covered with the National Guard. So the Patriot Scholarship, which Paul Smith is over that program, we pay mandatory fees. So we've been working with the students and a big collaboration with the National Guard. Mr. Leonard Acker, he has it on speed dial, I think. So we work with him to make sure that those students in the National Guard get their mandatory fees covered. Then another new scholarship, second year, is called Go Teach, where it provides up to $5,000 a year for aspiring teachers. It also has a program for maybe you graduated in biology or history or social studies, and now you say, I want to teach. You can go back and get an alternate certification. Or if you're already certified in, say, K-12, but now you want to do special ed, you go to special ed and certified to do that. And then one of the newer, more popular programs is the Michael J. Foster Promise Program. And you'll hear more about that later, but it provides grants for students enrolled in high-tech, high-demand programs. So all that said, we processed in SG over $400 million in scholarship awards.
Morning, my name is Sherry Underwood and I'm the START Programs Director. I have a very talented group of professionals that work for me. There are 9 of us all together. Could I get y'all to stand and be recognized, please? Today, one of our staff is on medical leave and our other staff is in Nigeria visiting her home. So we'd also like to recognize them as well. You probably heard of the College 529 programs. Well, that's what START is. We have savings accounts for college. We also offer savings accounts for K-12 Louisiana tuition assistance program where you can save for K-12 education, as well as ABLE accounts, which allows those with disabilities to save for those disability expenses. Currently, we have a little over, almost 82,000 accounts collectively, with $1.3 billion in assets that we manage with those 9 people, with the B and staff, with $8 billion that we manage. So you can only imagine that we stay extremely busy with those programs, and of course, we'll go into that more later on. Thank you.
I'm Robin Lively. I am senior attorney here at LOSFA. I've got a total in legal of 5 staff members. The 3 of you here will please stand up. We have 1 out. Is of course the advisory board secretary, but she does so much more. She has very much history with LOSFA. She has been here longer than I have, which is 22 years. She has the most amount of historical knowledge, and in her role, she assists the entire legal department with reviewing every single publication that you see. All of the PowerPoints, she would use them to ensure that they continue to go with what LOSFA is historically known for. But with the changes that the legislature has consistently every single year, every year that I have been here, but one, there has been a change to at least one of our programs. So in addition to that, Wanda works with counselors in some points. She does presentations when she's needed to do so because other cast members are out already doing presentations. Kristen over here is our newest, well, no, actually, Kristen has been here about a year, a little over a year. She works with our contracts. She also reviews the administrative rules after they are drafted to check for any inconsistencies with law, any errors, etc. And Mr. Rob Rue is our most recent hire as of January this year. Rob is a retired employee of the Department of Labor. He is part-time for LOSFA, and his specialty is resources law, which we were sadly lacking in expertise in that field. And Mr. Rob is very helpful in that, and he is also working very closely with our team on a project that we'll talk about later. But in addition to all of that, y'all can sit down. Y'all look like so we do draft the administrative rules, our section, the top 6 sections, and Ms. Amber Martin is not here with us today. She is sick. So she's unable to be here to be recognized for all of the 1,600 exceptions she processes by herself. Once they get to us each year. But we draft the administrative rules, we bring those to y'all. Let's see, we do all of our contracts. Given the number of different things, we work with legislators on legislation. We work with the different advisory boards on reviewing all of them to see if they comply, if the post-secondary educations or the high schools have any for us. And many other things that we'll get to a little later.
Good morning, I'm Brett, I'm Director of Finance at LOSFA. Can I get the entire fiscal team to stand up? It's going to be a very complicated. Made up of 4 major components. Audit ensures compliance at school level, not only by conducting audits, but also providing technical assistance when needed. We have admin services. They do everything from purchasing to managing LOSFA's mailroom. We have our grants division, who ensures compliance for all federal grants, and finance is comprised of does all the back office accounting for regions with budgeting, financial analysis, safety and compliance, and financial reporting. And in my roughly 30 years of as an accounting professional, this is the best professional.
I'm Sharma Heste, and I am the Senior Research Analyst here. We have one other researcher, Connor, who hopefully is watching virtually. He is actually actively working on data for me right now, so he could not be here with us today. We do all of the data in-house, any charts, graphs you see, the most publications that would have any type of data on it and graphics. We pull those numbers, compile them, make them look pretty, and then send them to the graphics, so graphics can actually make them look like the rest of our presentations. Any kind of presentation, this is not just the publications, the presentations, we use data for that. And IT is our godsend, because but for them, we would not be able to have the data that we pull in. But it's just the two of us, and we do all of the legislature requests, all of the constituents requests. If a school calls me and says, hey, can you tell me my last year's TOPS graduates who were eligible? We pull that kind of data. So we pull all the data together for everybody and try to help all of our other divisions tell our story, tell the students we're helping, prove that we're worth our bang for our buck.
Don't forget fiscal notes.
Oh, yes, we do fiscal notes. Lots of fun.
And that's a 48-hour.
48-hour turnaround. Once the legislature actually files a bill and requests the fiscal note, once LFO, the legislative fiscal office requests the fiscal note, you have 48 hours to turn it around and get it back to them. And so far, I have never missed the deadline and then taken it.
Hi, I've lost my voice, but I'm Alice Burrell, but I was Thibodeau, so that's what we have in common. And I'm the IT director for LOSFA. So I'll have everybody in IT stand up. We're developing, operating, and maintaining technical and operational support of mid-range system and network processing, database administration, disaster recovery, website support, and maintenance of all in-house systems. as well as the monitoring of systems supported by outside vendors. We have a team of 11 members. We currently have 2 vacancies due to retirements. So we get to that point. Network operations group, they support the security of our environment, keeping our network safe from intruders, keeping our data protected, and providing services to all of our internal users with the necessary hardware and software needed to perform the LOSFA program duties. Application support group, when I first started, we had outsourced the loan administration at the Third Energy Agency, and we had automated TOPS. So just to give you an idea. So we develop and maintain all the applications used by our internal and external users. We have the award system, that's what Deborah was talking about, for scholarship and grants, that we currently manage 16 programs. But we've had at least 8 that we don't do anymore, maybe more. But so we get them tossed our way and we grab them, start developing them, and then ready for 4 weeks from all the COVID. So anyway, that's what we're doing with scholarship and grants. And the MAPS 529 system is how we manage START, ABLE, and K-12. We also work with other application solutions that are needed to perform our tasks. We do business with about 20 third-party vendors. So that's information technology.
So before we highlight some of the specific things that we want to talk about, what we've been collaborating on, just in general, the things that we have to work together, none of this can be done just one division. Providing the intensive intrusive statewide advisory services, identifying those wraparound services takes multiple divisions, connecting those students to those career pathways, fostering the partnerships with organizations, our business and industry partners, enhancing our customer service offerings through technology, training the team members across all divisions on best practices, ways that we can help develop programs, ways that we can enhance how we serve our students, parents, and other constituents, developing our strategic messaging to promote our programs and services to make sure that everyone across the state, legislature, parents, partners knows what LOSFA does, the value of LOSFA, and programs and services that LOSFA offers. Growing our outreach and events, we've worked on restructuring the way that we have our teams so that we can be strategic about our outreach, taking in the input and the skill and the talent of multiple team members across divisions. And then overall, making sure that everyone knows what it is that LOSFA does. And so we want to talk about a few of those things, what we've been working on collaboratively together. So the first thing we'll talk about is going to be Salesforce, and I'll have Vanessa first.
Thank you, Shane. As you've already seen, it takes collaboration, right? And when we started to transition into what we're affectionately calling LOSFA 2.0, a reimagined approach to college access, recognizing that, again, Dr. Boutte gave such a beautiful overview of the IAOs, the CAOs, the outreach coordinators. Our CAOs needed a mechanism to track, document, and report the work that we were doing with our students in comprehensive advisory. So Ebony, Shane, and I went out on a massive vetting of, okay, where do we start? We don't want to reinvent the wheel. And so as we were vetting various applications that were already out there, talking with various groups, attending webinars, and just hearing this one particular module kept coming through Salesforce. Many of you may be putting into a business application, but some kind of way Salesforce has found its way to morph to fit whatever industry it needs. And so in our vetting, we procured the license in July and launched what we have been, I think it's been something, an exercise of pulling all of our divisions together. Because we had to talk with one another, we had to share information, we had to kind of set where direction we want Salesforce to go, right? And so since July, we have met and done discovery sessions. We've done testing applications, playing in the sandbox. And as of yesterday, November 6th, Monday, we went live. The IAO, our coordinators, at some point, all of our divisions will have some type of touching of this. You're gonna hear their role as we forward in this slide. Thank you.
So Livonia just told you about Salesforce. Before we got to the rollout, there were endless discovery sessions. I lost count, but we were involved on the front end with the design piece. Livonia and I sat through a number of meetings, and as we got to that sandbox phase, we were able to bring in the outreach coordinators, bring in the intake and assistance officers, and the comprehensive advising officers, and I'll let Scott tell you guys a little bit about kind of the outreach coordinator roles as that second level of support in Salesforce.
Right, thanks, Ebony. Right, the Salesforce is really gonna help implement, just when we get those intake situations and the troubleshooting for the students, for their different types of awards and different types of situations that come in. The Salesforce and the sandbox will really help us organize and create within the organization and the team to help us, organize the situation and in the course of action, develop the best plans and strategies to implement how we can situate those students, process the awards and set them up for success and go and get them in line to process the awards and set them up to strategically place them down the line to get them, rushing towards the goal of what their goals are. So.
Morning. My name is Mark Dellender. I'm an IT programmer. I do all those programs that the board talked about. I do programming for all of that, provide data. When it comes to Salesforce, I've been involved in most of the working things. And we were tasked with doing an initial build of the Salesforce database, data from the award system. So we put together some files with students, high school grads, people that have an award with LOSFA, and also organizations, and that all of Salesforce, if they're going to preload their database with all that information, that it's going to help prevent our users from having to type all that stuff in, which is going to already be there for them. They can search for the data and move along. And I believe
sure, and all these terms that she mentioned, each division will be touching Salesforce in one fashion or another. Art has started this process on the front end of Salesforce, and like when we'll hear more about this later, but when a case gets referred to our other divisions, our colleagues at SG for their academic expertise and program expertise, other issues might arrive to us on the back end for technical expertise. Maybe there's a reason a person cannot register for the student fund. They're getting some care investment, so that comes to us.
And part of research will be, as we spoke of a minute ago, we're going to actually have access, hopefully, to some very good data where we can be able to say, how have we affected each student, what our impact was, what did the advising services that SCE and SG and legal and all the other divisions that had to help the student, what impact did that have on a student? So we're going to work on, and you'll hear about some processes later that we're going to be looking into to see how we can pull that data and visualize it to show you and prove our cases and stuff.
On the SE side, Dr. Butte and I both left-handed, so I think we kind of think alike in a lot of ways. The example I was going to use, I'm going to repeat some of it. With Salesforce, it's kind of like she mentioned a triage. Think of going to the hospital. If you just have, when you first get there, that intake person will say, it's just a little cut, give you a Band-Aid and send you home. But if you really need surgery,
Come to SG specialists.
Start will come into play if there's a need that is realized. They will refer them to us for the expertise that we can provide on the 529 side.
And Terry, you've also referred individuals that have 529 accounts to.
We have so many times based on the demographic, especially with our able accounts. So many times those folks will call us and keep in mind, these are disabled people and they may be mentally disabled, they may be physically disabled. So they'll call us and they'll think that we're offering a benefit instead of a savings account. So many times prior to this and prior to the hiring of those social workers, our hands were tied because it was beyond the scope of what we could help and provide. Now we're able to refer those people over to Livonia and her team, who have been able to seek some resources for those that are in danger with food or housing or something of that nature. Quite frankly, a lot of these folks just don't know where to go. They just don't know what to do. So therefore, our wraparound services are able to assist those people where my department would not be able to.
Legal will be involved in Salesforce when a student calls in and they need a topic exception request. And the person who initially answers the phone can't help them because it's a complicated situation. Legal also gets involved with those, what had happened was, in the event that it's not something that we can refer the student out, but there's a problem in multiple sections. There's an IT problem, there's an SG problem, there is a legal problem with an individual who thinks that maybe they should be eligible for this, but they're really not because their situation is over here. Legal gets involved in all of those.
The very early stages of Salesforce, this will work with SE, CAT, and executive divisions, make sure we have sufficient budget for the project. After legal completed the contract process, fiscal admin services division worked with the state purchasing agency to get the contract out entered into the accounting system so we can start paying against it. Our data analysts work with IT and exec to ensure we are extracting and presenting complete and accurate data. As the invoices come in, CAT and SE will verify that the invoice is approved and represents work that has been completed at that time. Fiscal's accounting section will pay the invoice. And Fiscal's involvement with the Salesforce and Superlex, the next time, is exactly the same. So I'm not going to go and sit the same.
Now we'll talk about Superlex, our upcoming AI collaborative 5-point match tool. Andrew.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrew. I'm a programmer here. I handle all my AI assets. So what Superlex would be a college match fit system that you can match. So all of the services and programs you've heard everybody here talking about, it's gonna go in there, determine if you're eligible based on all our programming, do an interest assessment, and match you with the best post-secondary institution that fits your needs, along with all the what had happened was items that you should need it. Working with a company called Antares, they're going to help us build it. Had a kickoff meeting, about 3 other meetings for technical aspects of it. We'll get some access to everything and work with everybody here to make sure that it all goes smoothly. And
so legal was involved obviously at the front end with guiding IT as to the appropriate contract process to hire Antares. And now we are at the point where we are updating our AI policy. As many of you may know, there was an executive order that came out a few days ago, which was through, is pouring through, I am 60 something pages. That's in a font that you can read it. If you want your 10 times magnifier, it's only 33 pages.
But, Mr. Brew is pouring through that so that we can help provide the appropriate guidance to staff, on what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what can be put in this, what should not put in this. Because I attended a CLE recently that scared me half to death about AI. I was not aware that it could hallucinate and make up answers, which gave me a great amount of pause. So we're working with IT and contractor to try and ensure that that's all. And forecast, I will give kind of a brief overview of our involvement. Again, CAS is co-directed, so Shane and I were both involved, but in different capacities. I am on a college affordability, I co-lead work group. And so some of the things that we have been looking at is affordability and transparency where cost of college is concerned. So when talks of SuperLex came about, I collaborated or got with Andrew on some information, basically kind of looking at the way that you look at, what are my expenses? If I'm going to college and I have all this aid, what's my bottom line? And just making sure that, letting people know that if you have student loans as an example, that's ultimately not coming out of your bottom line. For the moment, you don't have to pay it, but basically remembering that that's something that has to be paid back. And just making sure when building out SuperLex that it's something that's accurately reflecting that, to make sure they have an accurate picture of cost of choice.
In my capacity in CASC, I, along with Caleb Rowe, who's a member of CASC, who is our program and resource coordinator, we are looking at this as the design, the layout, the usability of it, all the components that will be in there, so that whenever we're promoting this as a tool for self-service as well as intensive advising to our community partners, to our post-secondary partners, for parents to use, for students to use, for our counselors to use, that they're aware of what this tool can do, that it is very usable. Whoever is using it, either they're using it for themselves or they're walking them through each of the stages, as well as our advising staff here. So very, very collaborative. We will be, as soon as it's ready, we'll see a lot of promotions about this new tool. In the past, we promoted Unlock My Future, which really just handled maybe 2 of those 5 match points. This tool is going to encompass all of those and more. And so we're really going to do a hard campaign for this tool once it's launched.
And from student engagement perspective, we will be working along with CASC and our IT departments to make sure that as our CAOs are using it to roll out and advise whatever further build up to strengthen those wraparound, as Shane mentioned, of gathering their resources. So just using it as a tool to advise and how the way we can look at it from, again, that virtual information. At some point, our CAOs will take it further, but still using it as a tool to provide the comprehensive advice that's been charged.
The scholarship and grant side, we'll be providing information, the rest of the things that come up on a normal basis, or if we see something that needs to go on SuperLex that we're experiencing, we can provide that information to the coordinators to help students who are going through SuperLex to get the information needed in the most efficient way.
Like SG, START will be providing information to IT, so if the individual is looking for information concerning START, it would be at their fingertips.
And research and data will be doing a lot of the same things that I mentioned previously, pulling the data and everything. But one of the things that we're going to centralize in with SuperLex is looking and see, are we changing the questions and the frequently requested information things? Is SuperLex taking care of those, and now we're getting more complex so that we can determine, are we meeting the need, are we moving forward, are we progressing?
Ditto. Okay.
Before y'all go, just so that everybody can visualize, because that's a lot of people. How many of you use Google searching? How many of you shop? Be honest. You are searching for a particular item, and you type that item in Google, what do you really mean?
Suggestion.
So what does it give you? It gives you straight across all your options, where you can buy it, how much it costs, and if you want more information on that, you just scroll down.
I pick it up today.
Where you can pick it up today, that is SuperLex for college access. Meaning, if I'm interested, I need to know what my match is, that is only the first part. Now that you know what you think you wanna do, now what's the next question? Where do I go to study to do that? And that's not it, that is, and how much is that gonna cost you? How much is that gonna cost you here, 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 and here? Do you have aid that you are eligible for? Because it's gonna give you a very scary figure, and that is the bottom line total cost. And we have to turn it down, and most people free aid. Because they look at that bottom line and think, I don't have it. And if you don't think I'm borrowing that, I'm not. So what SuperLex is gonna have the capacity to do is, well, who knows what they're eligible for? We know a lot because we do all those programs. And if they've got a start account, all of that rolls and reduces your what? Bottom line. What if I need childcare? What if I need academic support? What if I'm a single mother? I happen to know because we went to Delgado, they have a single mothers program. How exactly am I gonna know that? Artificial intelligence will know that. And if our CAOs or whoever's helping them doesn't, artificial intelligence decide that, they're going to what? It's going to know that. So it is a tool that individuals can use for self-service, which helps counselors, helps financial aid offices, but it is also a tool that our individuals and our team members can use to be able to help students. While we are sitting here, I'm still getting email, as all of you. And I just have a student that is a doctoral student that wants to go to a likely institution that contacted the Board of Regents and said, what financial aid is available? And they promptly sent them to what? LOSFA. That is something when this is built out, it should be able to do. And so that is kind of in your head, all of these folks collaborating. This is what it's supposed to look like when it's all grown up. So we want to make sure that all of us who are working on it have that vision in mind. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't do that, then we should not be investing in it because it doesn't make the life of that student and that adult or that parent any easier when they look out there and try to find and make sense of all this information. So that is where we're going with it. We're extremely excited about it, but I wanted you to get that because that's an easy picture to have in your head because it's something that as consumers you do every day. So it's no user friendly. If people know how to use that, they're not calling you for help with, I don't know how to Google it. Really? I mean, Google has become the term that's like, well, Google's the only search engine. Yeah, but you know, it's kind of like, do you want to code? And then someone just asks you which way you want. Okay, but you said code, right? That's what Google has become. So proud of the team. Yes, sir.
So AI is kind of one of those things that it's a lot of times it's always good as the data that's being input into it and the evaluation. Will there be any input from secondary education institutions into the design of this?
Yes.
I didn't, obviously it's inside.
Yes, that's gonna be, and Shane and Ebony's, and Scott's, their folks working with you all, also working with you as advisors. This you'll hear it here first, because we wanna make sure that we've got that cost of attendance, that you look at that and go, we don't know. Do you have childcare workers? Maybe you just opened it last week. We don't know. So how do we know that? Do you have a food pantry on your campus? Do you have a care center on your campus? We do not know that. Do you have a single mother scholarship program? We do not run it. We will not know it, but it's only as strong, to your point, as our partnerships and the information there. So it puts you all in the best possible light and then puts the choice where it always has been for the student. And then we're saying, oh, and yeah, by the way, you can qualify here, 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 and here. Watch that bottom line decrease. It is possible for you to be able to go to school with little to no loan debt. So that is the goal, and yes, it will take involvement on all of our parts.
What's the estimated time to build it out? Do we have an idea? How long? It's not long at all.
We already rolled out Lex.
Right.
And Lex is your, why would I want somebody as the IAOs, all those letters? Do we really need them on the phone saying how many hours do I need to be able to complete during the year to get my jobs? What is the GPA that I need? But that is a routine answer. Do we want any of these people to go home? We do not. What we want them to do is if we can free them up using the AI to answer the routine questions, when you get to the what had happened and let's do the process because the name doesn't match, or that this doesn't match, or that's never because you use your new name. That is never one process, and they're gonna keep going, right? That is going to take all these folks back here to resolve that, or you're actually not even a Louisiana resident, so yeah, no, it's not gonna work out, right? That's a key. So we wanna use the science for what it can do for us, augment it with the humans that have that particular expertise, that empathy, and that care. So that's how we're approaching it.
I am Paula Smith. I am the administrator of MJ Foster Program, and Brittany, the specialist, is the at a conference. I will be providing an overview of the MJ Foster Program. Act 457 of the 2020 regular legislative session established the MJ Foster Program in the amount of $10.5 million. The program is named after former Governor Mike J. Foster and advocate of technical colleges. The MJ Foster Promise Program provides financial assistance to eligible students enrolled in one of the Louisiana Technical and Community College, LSU Unis, Southern Shreveport, and any accredited proprietary school to pursue an associate degree or a shorter term credential aligned with Louisiana workforce priorities in one of 5 sectors. And those sectors are information technology, manufacturing, construction, healthcare, transportation, and warehousing. Students are eligible to receive $1,600 in the semester, or $3,200 per year, up to the program maximum of $6,400 if enrolled in a high-cost program of 1 year or less in length. CDL is an example of that short-term high-cost program. We had several changes with past legislative sessions. Some of those changes allowed the awards to be used for mandatory books and instructional materials, in addition to tuition and fees. It eliminates the separate allocations of proprietary schools and public schools. It allows students to receive an initial payment as the first dollar prior to completion of the FAFSA. But the FAFSA must be completed prior to receipt of the additional funding unless the program is not eligible for federal student aid. It also eliminates the requirement that students complete 20 hours of community service, apprenticeship, internship, or mentorship. And in the event of a budget shortfall, payments be made first to eligible continuing students.
So, for MJ Foster, all of the incoming communications for MJ Foster are going to fall, again, phones, emails, virtual office hours, Lex, which is our chat that has a handoff to a live agent. And I can assure you that all of those things are very much in tune with MJ Foster. There was a news clip or segment about MJ Foster, and it was almost the effect was almost immediate in the influx of phone calls, emails, virtual office hours because of this program. Additionally, again, looking at this collaborative framework, we do a lot of work with student engagement and also with SG, so much so that, again, when there was this huge influx of interest in the MJ Foster program, and SG does a wonderful job along with ABLE and SE of doing these orientations. There was so much interest in these orientations that we had to get with fiscal and say, we need to update or upgrade our Zoom accounts because that's how popular this program has become in order to meet the demand that's out there.
So we're showcasing this program because it really gives a good example of how we can collaborate across not only LOSFA, but outside entities and partners as well. And sort of showcases how we do this with other programs. So with NJ Foster, we actually have a marketing consortium of different institutions, LCTCS, LSUP, and CESLA. And in that, the program, the website that we use for the program, njfosterpromise.com, though it's administered by LCTCS, it features all of the institutions as well as the proprietary schools. So we found that to be a much easier place to send students than we would go to myLOSFA.LA.scholarships-graded/NJ Foster. So we're just trying to make it ease of access as simple as possible. Also, we are promoting this program to business and industry, as well as other community partners and the chambers of commerce across the state as well. So we're taking this as sort of a model of what that looks like. We really hype up our promotion and our collaboration. Also, the restructuring that we've done with the staff, taking that PIO position, public information officer, creating those outreach coordinators. We have an outreach coordinator specifically for adult learners, non-traditional students, a large bulk. What they'll be doing with their outreach is going to be promoting this program. And also programs under services available to adult learners, non-traditional students, incarcerated students, students who are homeless, pregnant, mothers, all of that. We are really looking at broadening what our reach is and having those duties split now, and taking assistance officers and those phones and emails so that our outreach coordinators can actually focus on that outreach so that we can expand what it is we're trying to do with our services. So,
Yes. So in SE, we have a student engagement specialist that works with CAS and SG in implementing the student welcome orientation. Once a student is deemed eligible and awarded, they're brought in to that orientation, and then we have that further, closer, more engagement opportunity through our student network group, where we have one designed specifically for the MJ Foster recipients, where they can come in and further ask questions and get those wraparound support services. As things continue to evolve, the officers are recognizing the need to do additional outreach, whereby we have April goes to the schools, some of the proprietary schools, and do on-site presentations about MJ Foster to make sure students know how to apply and provide further outreach in that regard there. So we will continue in that realm of partnering with the other divisions.
For IT, Mark and I provide a lot of the programming interface that you see at the student level, or some of you at the institutional level. When you submit payment requests or submit your data or the grades at the end of the semester, we built the online application for processing the user input from the persons. As Paul mentioned, when the program started, that was one version of Foster Promise. And this past year, it went through a complete redesign, which we were able to turn around in a month and fix it up time. There are still steps that we're going to evolve the process as we get feedback from program staff from you.
So with MJ Foster, we worked with all the staff. We worked with Dr. Cable most recently in this last session to get those amendments into the program. Jason just talked about. It did result in quite a bit of changes for them, which also resulted in a lot of changes to the communications that we send out to students. Legal is responsible for reviewing all of those. The MJ Foster specialist who works in the scholarship grants division drafts those out, and then legal reviews them to ensure that we're not confusing students. And that we are providing them with the most up-to-date information that we possibly can. We also work with all the other divisions on whatever they need so far as to make sure that the information will be out as accurate. And
And once again, we collect all the data, but like Jason mentioned, one of the things that we're looking at is from feedback in whether it's a practitioner, a student, the legislature, the Board of Regents, are we collecting the data that's needed? One of the things we're getting ready to start looking at is changing some of the data that's presented to us from the schools and the payment requests and things so that we know if we paid a student and they've met their $6,400 limit, did they actually complete the program? Are they employed? So we're trying to take it from the start all the way to the finish in showing things, and we're evolving that, and it's an evolving process, the data.
Each year, LOSFA receives budget authority from MJ Foster, but we start the year with no cash in the account. We have to work with state treasury to get the account funded. There's a component of MJ Foster that's reserved for program administration. So fiscal works with SE, CAS, and executive divisions to spread out the budget. Once SG reviews invoices paid by fiscal accounting teams, our audit team will then review the school themselves to ensure compliance at the school level.
Current programs collaboration is vast. We collaborate with most all of the divisions within the agency to make what happen every day for our account officers. Over the next 3 months, we're introducing 3 new funds to each of the programs, each of the 3 programs, and we've worked with state treasury, IT, and legal to put in these 3 funds that are more closely tracked with the S&P 500 index, which has been requested by the account holders. We've also been collaborating with Treasury, IT, fiscal, and legal, and working to introduce prepaid cards for the ease of able disbursements to our disabled community, so they can use an actual card to access their services as opposed to receiving a disbursement by check or by going to a bank account, which they have a hard time perhaps accessing. Also, collaboratively with IT, we have put an email program in place where we can email important notifications to our account owners as opposed to sending mail outs, which reduces staff hours as well as those postage costs, which you can imagine could be astronomical with the number of accounts that we have. As we mentioned earlier, we collaborate with student engagement to offer assistance to those that need help that is outside the scope of what we do on a regular deposit disbursement relationship that we maintain and start. When we get those requests, we of course turn them over to them, and they see what they can do to assist, and they've been very effective. I'd like to thank that group for that. We're also collaborating currently with Treasury, Fiscal, Audit, and IT to allow the account owners to speed their disbursement time by entering their own W-9s on the Treasury system as opposed to us doing it here at LOSFA. This, in our opinion, will ease the disbursement process for all of our account owners. Also, we have ongoing collaboration with CASC to promote STAR to the citizens of Louisiana by in-person presentations, social media, community, and commercial outreach.
We're going to definitely work and partner with getting that information out. I mentioned earlier about our employer engagement coordinator. As we grow those partnerships, it's an opportunity for us to not to ask the employers, here's students that can go through the pipeline, but here's what with your staff. So introducing and promoting and getting more families involved and aware of what START offerings. And also, when we were talking about the MJ Foster, I want to share about the 211 database, in resource sharing. We procured that with that in mind, as a result of MJ Foster. So with START and all of that going on to the 211, it's another way of broadening that net so many families can have opportunity to start their accounts.
And on the IT side, my team members, Mary, and of course, Alice, who is our director, we work closely with START in implementing the programs that they administer. Right now, we're doing a lot of mass mail outs for them. This is saving them time to focus on more important issues. And one of the big mail outs that we just recently did for them was to the colleges. And this allowed them to do their verifications to be sent electronically to them. And we got a rapid response in less than, on many schools, within 24 hours, we got their verification reports back. And this allowed START users to be able to verify those enrollments more quickly and have a faster response. But we work very closely with all our START users and our vendors to coordinate implementing the 529 plan for the START Savings Program.
So legal with respect to the new investment options that Ms. Erin mentioned, we have been working with them and with the Treasury as well as with Vanguard in order to make sure that we have the information correct so that we can update all of our forms, our exposure booklets, and other publications that we may have that gives what their options are as far as investing. There's more to come with respect to START.
Fiscal works very closely with START. Receive, post, and deposit cash receipts, we pay disbursements, create financial statements, and the annual audit for a couple of months a year. Carry out investments that close allies during the audit.
So hopefully this gives you a little snapshot of some of the things that we did be operating on. Also included the presentation out to you after the meeting. Some of the conferences that we have been going to with different divisions. So SG, attending NASDAQ. We have the LASFA conference as well, where we discuss the programs, the LOSFA update. We received the Associate Member of the Year award, which we're very proud to receive. And then audit and fiscal, we're able to attend some conferences as well. This is the first for fiscal, correct, Brett?
What's that?
Able to attend conferences?
This is the first year we have started attending conferences.
And then there's also the weekend conference that LOSFA presented as well, getting an overview of College Access Reimagined, which is LOSFA 2.0, moving from the outcome services grant to what we're doing now with our comprehensive advising services. And so you'll see all of the network that we had there, some quotes from the presentation that we did, resources that we were able to identify while we were there, educational opportunities that we had that our staff is going to be able to focus on. And it really did a good job of showcasing that what we are doing, the direction that we're moving in is research-based, and it is being backed up by what we are seeing at these schools. So I will now turn it back over to you.
Questions, comments?
I appreciate this because it helped me see we've talked about it for months, but seeing it like how each department works together and hearing how it already is rolling out, like I appreciate that. Thank you all.
Other questions or comments on thank you for the opportunity, giving me the opportunity to talk about this. And based on my 30 years of experience, when the new legislature, the governor, things are going to come as fast as it goes again, because this is a current opportunity to change every legislator be having a program that he or she wants to introduce. Those kinds of things, so there, you know, this is just the beginning, I think this is really great, but I know what happens on that, quite well. That's my comment, to anybody else? Okay, now we go then to new business. And the first item of new business is the approval of the meeting dates for June 24th. They were back on your materials that were sent out. And those dates are January 10th, these are all Wednesdays. January 10th, February 21st, March 20th, April 17th, and June 19th. And of course, things happen, but right now, these are the dates. So can I have a motion to approve these? Start the table. Move, second, please. I'm correct in remembering this, because I'm gonna make you all start doing. When we have a virtual meeting, the person must identify themselves. Is that not correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. You have to identify.
I think we have to, when we're doing action items, I think we actually have to do a roll call vote.
So I would have to say, Dr. Amy Cable, yay or nay, and she would have to say yes or no. Like if you're attending virtually, even if you're in the room, we have to do a roll call vote.
We won't start that yet.
Not yet, not quite yet. We will go through at the beginning of each virtual meeting. I will state what the rules are for a virtual meeting so that everybody will kind of have a refresher at each of those meetings. Because if we don't have our virtual meeting, I don't know about y'all, but I'm not a member of all of them that far away. So
It has to have been.
Yes, we've had a move for a second. All those in favor say aye. No, thank you very much. All right, next we have Austin study exceptions and then the last including will be the top section. Give a little background in case you don't know what happens before it gets to this point. So that you're well aware that these are just not things that would not be inconvenient in consideration.
So we have a number of different exceptions that a student can get. The top requirement, sponsor requirement, Rockefeller applies to all the programs. Because for most of these programs, students have to continuously involved. We do not give exceptions to the year requirement. In the event a student does not meet those requirements that they can give an exception for, they will fill out the request for exception form. Oftentimes, they're going to talk to one of the IAs we talked about earlier. They will submit the request for exception form as well as documentation. 13 different exception types are objective, which means we can tell you exactly what we need from you in order to process your request. For example, a student gets COVID and has to quarantine. That's real easy. I am sick. I cannot go to school. That is temporary disability. A student gets pregnant. I cannot go to school because I have a newborn at home. That is real easy. We can tell you exactly what we need. Things that we to y'all are exception circumstances. These are the ones that we can't tell what we're going to need for because they're so far out there are certain things that we just would never come up with. And all working with students are well aware that they can come up with some things that we would have never thought. My favorite exception from the past, a student had carpenter ants growing in her house that she was renting. 3 months this child went through this to try to get her baby to get the carpenter ants out of there. She was living in that her hometown was in North Louisiana. Can she stay in school after she's already signed the lease and has to continue to pay rent even though she can't live there? No, that is not fair for that student. But that's a circumstance that we can't tell you over. So once those come in, staff writes a summary, but legal staff writes the summaries that people see on here, and it will go to a committee made up of executive staff. It's legal staff, audit, CAT, SC, all sit on this committee, and we talk through these things. And if the staff recommends approval, then they come to you. If you recommend approval, then it will go to Board of Regents for their final approval. I want to mention that home study exceptions are considered separately because these type of exceptions were just put into law a few years ago. Prior to that, a student had to be in the home study program for all of 11th and 12th grade in order to be even considered for TOPS. A couple of years ago, we provided the legislature with circumstances we wrong. We had a young lady who was diagnosed with cancer, who could no longer attend the working large school. We had a couple of students who were fully to the extent that their those are certainly beyond the student's control. The legislature agreed with that and allowed us to be able to grant exceptions under those types of things. So that is the process for how these get to be.
They were previously ineligible. Right. Any questions about the process? The next you have with this in your packet and you all agree with that. You can go back and finish that screen request on add here for the recommendation for approval. Now, please may feel this is your opportunity to ask questions. What happened? Why did this? You know, you're uncomfortable because we need to try to discuss this. I would like to say one comment that we had where I think Amy may remember this, Christy, it was concerning and it was baseball, and the commission member said, no, this is you might go ahead with this now, but you want to send a letter back to the institution saying, don't mess this up again. And so that is your prerogative. That is where it is important that we all have a chance to discuss these, and we will go entertain anybody have any questions about these three with the top. No questions, no comments, then can I have a recommendation to approve these three? All right, Dr. Hager moves, is there a second? All right, Christie seconded it, seconded that these three be removed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, the same? All right, thank you very much. Okay, next we move to exceptions for the TOPS regulatory program, and I think this time we have a good number.
Yes, we did.
And same thing. If you have questions, if you are uncomfortable, please do not be reluctant.
Okay, so number 2, Bailey.
Yes.
I'm struggling with the fact that she enrolled and did not and were allowing me to get in the middle of the summer. And I guess I'm trying to figure out why did she enroll in 16 and only 13? And for those other 2 semesters, what was the financial hardship during that?
During the summer or during?
I guess I'm wondering, was there a financial hardship for fall and for spring because she didn't?
The student was working, trying to help her mom and to pay for her tuition since there were other issues going on that had been realized. So she was working that whole time, and then she wasn't able to in summer to make the hours up, because you will see a lot of students who enroll in summer school to make the hours up if they're not able to do it through the year, and she wasn't able to do it.
Number 10, Joseph, I think that there might just need to be a edit. It says according to our record, student enrollment 12 hours and earned 13.
Yeah, that's what our record says. Yes, and It happens sometimes to where, for example, when the school charters were forfeit students enrolled in 12 hours and then they
So it's
get
based on
an
additional.
extra credit, like library science, 1 credit for school. They were, they took a correspondence course that don't know credit, they called it. That's most likely what that is.
Okay, and then the only other question that I had is, in some cases, the hours are specified, enroll in 13 hours, under 13 hours for spring. But in some cases, it just says enroll for the time in spring. Is there a reason we don't specify the hours in some?
In a lot of cases, we don't know the number of hours they enrolled in. That's important word that enrolled in for some reason, but a lot of times if a student resigns from other classes or they drop out of several classes, it doesn't necessarily report how many hours they enrolled in, but we know that they were full time because the school did.
And it's also when they file the exception, so if they withdrew completely in spring, but they filed their exception in March. Like, we don't know if as far as hours go, but we know by feeling that they were.
Anybody else have a question? I have a question. I don't know if it's part of these exceptions, but when a student takes dual enrollment in high school and they withdraw, does that play a part in some of these exceptions?
No, okay. That does not have anything to do with what they do once they get to college, other than if they take dual enrollment classes, it will factor into their GPA after the first semester. Like I said earlier, we can't give an exception to the GPA requirement. That is statutory, and the legislature does not allow us to grant exceptions to the GPA requirements for any program.
Does it go towards the 24 required for the year?
No.
But the GPA now, there is a policy that the Board of Regents has passed with respect to dual enrollment, and it's a course choice policy. I don't think we're seeing the ramifications yet. We expect there to be some.
Yes.
So that if this is well, I understand, if the student is enrolled in the course in the district that allows choice, they have to accept the high school grades. They don't have to accept the college grade. So if that option is available to that student and they don't accept that grade, then it doesn't help them nor does it hurt them. But definitely what we're going to be working on is putting something together for you all as counselors to explain that. Because, you know, eventually we feel like we're gonna be asked how much money was paid for students that then said, well, I'm not gonna accept those credits, which means, to your point, you didn't accept that grade, so don't show up and think that that is going to go towards your GPA and your hours. So we know that that is a relatively new policy and that we are working on. Okay, we have to understand, because we need to do it where it's parent facing as well, because that's a lot for a parent and a student to figure out, well, okay, so does my district allow choice? Then my understanding is, does the course that I'm enrolled in allow choice? So it's like, does your district allow it? Is the course eligible for it? Is that section of the course eligible for it? That is quite a bit for a parent, in our opinion, to wade through, to be able to make those decisions. So we're almost back to pass, fail during COVID. Should you not? But it's a little bit more complex than that, because that was all y'all. Right? This is now in specific, so we are working to understand that more and working to put something out. And we welcome, from that counseling standpoint, that you all look at that and go, but I don't think that's clear. Right, or that's gonna be clear enough to my parents or clear enough to my students. We are happy to have you take a look at it and then incorporate any edits into it.
I'll also mention that not all colleges are going to teach it based on, like, they have to choose if they're going to do choice modality or not. And so I know for like the LCTCS colleges, they may do the programming on non-credit, which is pass fail, versus on credit, which is, yeah, so there are some even at the college level, like they're going to offer.
And that was our question too. It's like, if we're
if we're counting on the college, not because again, that's almost like the question you just asked, that's already transparent to law. We're not paying that bill. So if we're counting on the college to know not to report that grade because the student had a choice modality, it's like, well, we're going on your word, but so there's some issues to be worked out, but know that we're aware of it, we're aware of the publications, implications for it, and the assistance, so we are happy to keep us informed on that, and we will get it out, you all tell us if you think that doesn't, or we don't.
As of right now, I think only have issues to get class, which was, you know, I don't know anybody else did for this fall.
I just know that the withdrawal, and I remember a conversation at a counselor collaboration about how that was affecting our students, and that's not clear. I don't know about reading, but it's not clear to us as counselors yet how that's going to impact it, because we can tell our students, hey, here's the opportunity. If you withdraw, it has the potential to affect you, but then they're gone when it affects them and they're not at our level. And so just trying to give a heads up to the parents and the students of like, take the opportunity, but also know if you get into it and then you decide, I don't want to be on my college transcript and I want to withdraw from this class, or, you know, how is that going to impact you when you're a freshman and are gone from us? Because at that point, we don't have any control over anything that happens other than giving the information, hey, this is who you would contact. So I don't feel prepared yet for all of that stuff rolling out.
It's feast or famine. It's either going to help them at the end of that first semester, which traditionally, we know how traditional freshmen can be, right? It's either going to be your best buddy, which you did great in that dual enrollment class, and it's going to help you to not be suspended before you even get your top good, or it's going to hurt you and then you'll be suspended and not understand why if you're on the bus.
Well, I think like when Dr. Henderson told us a few months back about how when I was in college, full-time was 12, but you could take up to 18. But now it charges for every car past that. So a lot of these exceptions are coming into play because they can only afford to have 13 hours a week. You drop down a class, you're at 10, you're already putting yourself in a predicament, but I didn't know that changed. You know, and that I feel like hinders a lot of it. Like, I mean, that was a great benefit that we had way back when I was in school. And so those changes affect so much. And I mean, if those students here were, let's just say the same age as me and we're in college at the same time, that's what we had, that's what we assumed, and that's not how it is anymore.
The other questions, comments?
We'll take all of this feedback, and if you have more, just email Robin, and then we can take that into account for frequently asked questions and answers, and then determine, is it just on the website? If it gets to be really frequent, is it something we also put in list? So, or, you know, something, because we've got some intelligent text messages now, and we can also put it there in students. It's just that trying to move towards, I know your life doesn't revolve around 8 to 4:30, but that's a few close. So know that the virtual reality, and we have some IAOs now, the intake and assessment, the triage, that are going to be working. Some are working evening shifts, so we're moving into that, being able to provide some of those phone services on in evenings. So we are hats off to CASC for recognizing that and moving towards that.
Any other questions? Comments? Before we vote on this, I would like to remind you that if you make a motion, the name will appear as this. But that's always a good thing to keep in mind, so people say, well, you actually at that meeting. Dr. K will make a motion, so you never say, always get your name in the minutes when you make motions, just so you might want to keep in mind.
I'll just find it always law.
I know, really. Okay, so if there are no more questions, does anybody have any, do I have a motion to approve these exceptions listed for 14? Thank you. Amy Thibodeau has made a motion to approve. Is there a second? Nothing like Cameron. Nice little secret to remember. She was It's been moved and seconded that we approve these exceptions. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, the same. Very good.
Yeah. So just as a reminder, the next meeting is Wednesday, December 6th.
Okay, and I think, so the next we need a motion to adjourn, so if you haven't made a motion yet, you might want to make a motion. I was gonna make it. No, but second, so the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for attending.
Okay, the great thank you to our wonderful engagement committee are back there in the coolers. Their coolers are actually labeled, if you're worried about what drink they're wearing. You should have to tell.